As we begin the funeral service today, I'm going to ask that we turn off or silence all cell phones, electronic devices. Thank you.
Welcome, everyone. From Proverbs chapter 31. Eshet Chayil mi'imsa, a woman of valor who can find, for her worth is far greater than rubies. The heart of her husband does safely trust in her, and through her he has no lack of gain. She does him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeks wool and flax and works willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant ships. She brings her food from afar. She rises also while it is yet night and gives food to her household and a portion to her maidens. She considers a field and buys it, and with the fruit of her hands, she plants a vineyard. She girds her loins with strength and makes strong her arms. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and the law of kindness is on her tongue. She looks well to the ways of her household and eats not the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and call her blessed, and her husband also, and he praises her. Many women have done valiantly, he says, but you exceed them all. End quote. When thinking about Svetlana, with all that I learned about her, it was an obvious choice to begin our time together today with a reading of Eshet Chayil, a woman of valor. The words I just read are sung as a song around the Shabbat table every Friday night in celebration of a strong Jewish woman. And today, we're brought together in loving memory of Svetlana Stolyar, Ariela Bat Shimon, Zichrona Livracha of blessed memory, just such a woman. Now, I didn't have the opportunity to know her in life, but it was not so long ago that we were all here together. And I had the privilege of standing alongside many of you as we honored and memorialized Svetlana's beloved husband of 67 years, Ilya, in July. None of us expected to be back here in this place at this time for this purpose so soon. When I met with Sam and with Rima expressed to me that though this is, of course, a difficult loss, we acknowledge the intensity and the unique beauty of the love shared between her parents. And we hope that their nishamot, their souls, as we're gathered here, that they're reunited in joy. So I began to learn about Svetlana when I learned about Ilya, and I learned more about her yesterday when we spoke, and a picture has been painted of her. And that picture is full of her strength, her wisdom, her tenacity, her beautiful singing voice, and more than anything, her deep love of family. I learned, too, of the harrowing challenges of her childhood, losing her father to war by the Nazis a month before her baby sister was born, her mother putting pots over the heads of Svetlana and her sisters to protect them from shrapnel. I learned of her time in an orphanage in Kyiv, to make sure that she had enough food, bringing leftover scraps to her mother and her younger sisters to make sure that they had nourishment as well. I learned of her love of Ilya and how she was a good wife and a good mother to Rima and Sam, and how she went to college to get her bachelor's degree and became an economist, and not only an economist, but I believe the head economist for the Republic of Moldova. She was smart, ambitious, and capable. Skills that Sam, I imagine with a smile, we were on the phone, I couldn't see, pointed out were passed down in spades to his sister. Svetlana, as I mentioned, had a deep love for her family. Her children expressed that for her, family was everything. And one can sense the deep love and appreciation that her children have for her, and moved to tears as they remembered her beautiful voice. I learned that she would sing at family functions and parties and weddings, and even got a standing applause singing on a cruise ship. I see some of your heads nodding. You know her beautiful voice. So today, we gather and sing to her memory. May her song inspire us, inspire our songs today and forever. Jewish tradition teaches that while the physical body is temporary, the soul is eternal. So today, we come together to pray for full and complete rest for Svetlana's body. And we note that her soul remains bound to the bond of life to each of you. And we seek blessings for the continued elevation of her soul. My name is Rabbi Nathan Weiner, a rabbi here in the community. I'm the Director of Jewish Outreach and Engagement for the Jewish Federation of Southern New Jersey, and it's an honor representing the whole community and myself and my family to be present with each of you today. And while we note the family and friends gathered here in this chapel and that it's full of love and support, there are also those who are joining us virtually on the stream, and we say welcome to you as well, particularly her sisters, Ella and Mila. Please know that your presence is felt. So more formally today, we celebrate the life of Svetlana Stolyar, Ariela Bat Shimon, Zichrona Livracha, of blessed memory. We again note her beloved husband of blessed memory, Ilya, and her sister Ola of blessed memory. She survived, and I pray I get every name correct, by her son Sam and his wife Victoria, his daughter Rima and her husband Alex, her grandchildren Maria and her husband JP, and Jean and his beloved Aaron, and her sisters Ella and Mila. May your love, God willing, for one another carry you through this difficult transition. So today we have 2 mitzvot before us to perform, and one we're doing right now. It's called Kavod Hamet. It's honoring the deceased. It's everything that's happened since her passing just a few days ago through to now, and we raise up her memory and her honor with loving words and prayer, praise, and reflection. Closer to the conclusion of our time together today, we'll transition to being a community of consolation, supporting Sam and Rima as they, for the first time in her memory, say the Mourner's Kaddish. And in fact, it occurs to me now that you're still in the 11-month period for children saying Kaddish for their parents. So when we say Kaddish, we raise up both of your parents today. I'm going to read Psalm 23, a psalm used most at times like this, at moments of grief and loss. I'll read it first in the Hebrew, followed by the English. Mizmor leDavid, Adonai ro'i lo achzar, binotesha yarbitzeni al mei menuchot yinahaleni, nafshi yeshoveh v'yancheni b'maglei tzedek l'man shemo, gam ki elech b'getz al mavet lo irara ki atay imadi, shivtecha u'mishantecha hema yenachamuni, ta'aroch lefanai shulchan neged zorai, tishanta v'shemen roshi kosi revaya, ach tov v'chesed yirdefuni kol yemei chayai, v'shavti b'veit Adonai le'orech yamim. A Psalm of David. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen. Amen. I'm going to read from Ecclesiastes chapter 3. For everything there is a season, a time for every experience under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot what is planted, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to throw stones and a time to gather them up, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to discard, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time for silence and a time for speaking. Now is a time for speaking and to share some words about his mother. I welcome Sam.
Hi, everybody. Our mom, Svetlana Stolyar, was born in October 29, 1935, in Chernihiv, Ukraine, to Raisa and Simeon Lombard. She actually was shy of 8 days of her 88th birthday. When the Second World War broke, our mom was 5 years old, and she moved to Kazakhstan, running from Nazis together with her pregnant mom, our grandma, and two other sisters, Alla and Ella. Youngest sister Mila was born in July 1941 in the way to Kazakhstan. Our granddad was called to Soviet army to fight Nazis, and he was killed in 1941 near Kiev. After the end of the war, in 1945, our grandma with 4 daughters returned to Kiev. It was a really hard time. 60% of the buildings were destroyed during the war in Kiev, and was lack of food, starvation was part of life during that time. Alla, the oldest sister, and mom, 15 and 11, had to sell potato skins in the market to get money to buy bread. And during 1947 and 48, 2 of them were staying in orphanage as our grandma didn't have enough food to feed for children. In the early 50s, mom completed vocational school. He started to work in post office in Kiev. And there is a saying, everything happened for the reason. And so in 1955, our dad, Ilya, was sent from Kishinev Automotive Vocational School to Kiev for a vocational internship, where he met our mom. They were married in April of 1956. And the rest of their history, they basically stayed together for 67 years. Our mom was a force of nature. She could accomplish anything if she would to put her mind to it. She even still can recite poetry from high school 70 years later. Loved travel, enjoyed all kinds of music, loved to dance with dad, tango and waltz, loved to have family and friends over the dinner. And later she loved to play Sudoku and solitaire. Everyone who knew her loved her energy and optimism. She was a fighter and loved life. She overcame 2 cancers, unfortunately succumbed to the third one, but was fighting to them on and off for almost 18 years. And her oncologist called that a miracle. She loved to sing. She had a strong voice, participated in various singing competitions, winning prizes early in life, and even was accepted to Kiev Music College, but never pursued her singing career as she chose family over her passion and moved to Chisinau in 1956. She would continue to sing when opportunity would present itself, as long as we remember. And once we had a 2-day cruise ship in Soviet Union, traveling from Odessa to Sevastopol. After dinner, my mom joined cruise orchestra in a music hall and performed a few songs, and everyone in the audience, approximately 400 people, applauded her and cheered her after her performance. Our mom was an ambitious person. While she had already me in the 3rd grade and Rimachka was in kindergarten, she went back to 5-year college to get finance degree while continued to work full-time. She attended school in the evening and used nights to do homework and prepare for exams. Over the years, she had exciting career and became economist and head of finance department in Moldova Division of Forestry, which was, of course, almost unimaginable accomplishment for Jewish in any Soviet Union republic. Even so, she didn't enjoy all the subjects of the college, like studying German. Amazingly enough, when we stopped in Austria, many years later, during our migration to USA, Mom became a translator, not only for us, but of a whole group of Soviet immigrants who were with us while we staying in Alps for 3 weeks. Mom always put our family well-being utmost first priority. She would find time to check on how we're doing in school, meet with our friends to celebrate our birthdays. When Soviet Union started to crumble up in nationalism ran rampant in the late 80s, our mom got family together and said that we have to leave Soviet Union, and that's the only option to keep our family safe. Mom asked her sister Ella, who was already in USA since 1978, to help us with the exit permit, and in November 1999, we left former Soviet Union for good. Mom was one who had to forgo the most she knew. At 55, she was unable to become economist in USA, but happiness and safety of her family and kids, grandchildren matter for her more. She still went on the complete bookkeeping course while in parallel studied English and became first Soviet immigrant hired by Commerzbank in 1991 in Cherry Hill. Bank manager liked her so much that she hired 11 more immigrants from Soviet Union after a few years. What else can we say about our mom? She helped raise Jean while Rima was working full-time and going to graduate school after we moved to USA, and also spent time with Masha, sharing her life story with both children and teaching them about importance of family by example. Our family will cherish memory we had with Mom, and we are going to miss her dearly. We love you, Mom. Rest in peace. Thank you.
Sam. It's with these thoughts and memories and dedications in mind that we move to the central prayer of a Jewish memorial service, El Malei Rachamim, which asks that as soul takes leave from body, that her soul be granted true rest in the divine's warm embrace in paradise, in the Garden of Eden. I invite you, if you're able, to please rise. I'll read it first in the English, followed by chanting in the Hebrew. O God, full of compassion, who dwells on high, grant true rest upon the wings of the divine presence in the exalted spheres of the holy and the pure, who shine as the resplendence of the firmament to the soul of Svetlana Stolyar, who has gone to her eternal home. For charity has been donated in remembrance of her soul. May her place of rest be in the Garden of Eden. Therefore, may the All-Merciful One shelter her with the cover of God's wings forever and bind her soul in the bond of life. Adonai is her heritage. May she rest in her resting place in peace, and let us say, Amen. El Malei Rachamim, Shochen Bamromim, Hamitzei Menucha Nechona, Al Kanfei Hashchina, B'ma'alot Kedoshim Utehorim, Kezohar Harakia Mazhirim, Et Nishmat Ariela Bat Shimon Verachel, Shehalcha Le'olama, Ba'avor Shenadvu Tzadaka Ba'ad Hazkarat Nishmata, Began Eden Tehemenuchata, Lachen Bal Harachamim Yastireha Baseter Kenafav Le'olamim, Bitzror Hachayim Et Nishmata, Adonai Hu Nachalata, V'tanuach Al Mishkava B'Shalom, V'nomar Amen. Let's remain standing. With the chanting of El Malei Rachamim, that concludes our obligations to her. We now shift our intention and our mindset to becoming a community of consolation for the family. It's a teaching. It says that we say the mourner's Kaddish because it's words of praise, and when words of praise are said, you get the credit for it. You've done a mitzvah, you've done a good deed. It elevates you and makes the world a better place by virtue of that mitzvah. Except with the mourner's Kaddish, the mitzvah is being done because a loved one passed away. Therefore, they get the credit. They're continuing to make the world a better place. They're continuing to fill it with goodness. And God willing, as I can see in the generations of this family, the love shared with Svetlana, and that it continues to pour through you and out of you, the goodness that she instilled in each and every one of you. So if you're comfortable, I invite you to recite the Kaddish with me. And it ends with a prayer for peace. And in the world we find ourselves in right now, God willing, may there be peace. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. Bi'alma divra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chaye echon u'v'yom echon u'v'chaye techol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala v'izman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lomei omaya. Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yithalal. Shemei Dekudesha Barichu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, da'amiran bi'alma v'imru, amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. May the maker of peace in the heavens inspire us to build a world of peace on earth for us, for all Israel, and all inhabitants of the earth. And we say, amen. Please be seated. Our formal time together here is drawing to a close. The family invites everyone gathered to join after for visits and a meal of consolation at Toscana Restaurant in Cherry Hill, Toscana, Toscana Restaurant. It's at 1990 Route 70 East. And I conclude my part by offering you the traditional words of consolation. And I mentioned before this prayer for peace, and we know that the Jewish people are struggling right now amidst the losses in the state of Israel. And Hamakom, this wish is that may, God willing, you find comfort among all the other mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. And in this moment, sadly, there are many. And that we as a people who are all responsible for one another hold one another through loss and pain and grief and lift, God willing, one another up. Hamakom yinachem etchem b'toch sha'arvei Leitzion b'Yerushalayim. May the Holy One of Blessing have comfort for you, together among all the other mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. And may Svetlana's blessing, Ariella bat Shimon v'Rachel, Zichronah livracha, may it be an everlasting blessing. Thank you. Yoshev v'seto elyon, v'tzel Shaddai